Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Something This Way. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, Got tons of ice, but, we're living it up in the house today.
Yeah, we're actually recording this episode the day after we recorded the last episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, next weekend we're planning on, the house is going to be in a bit of disarray. We're planning on putting some new flooring down in the bedroom, stripping up this carpet. So I was like, why don't we do something smart and get ahead of ourselves?
Wow.
And get this podcast, go ahead and record it and get it out of the way because, we're snowed/iced in this weekend. We got a lot of sleet last night. And we got nothing better to do.
Hours of sleep.
Hours of heavy sleep. And then some snow this morning. So, we're snowed in.
It's like a small layer of snow with a lot of ice underneath.
I went out this morning to because we don't get a lot of snow here in Oklahoma. So when we do, once or twice a year, we like to go out and measure it. And I went out and at first I took a tape measure out there, hit a block of ice. I was like, oh, that's not gonna work. So then I went and got like the little bendable metal ruler I have, and I chipped it down, and I got to about 9 inches before I started to bend the ruler out of shape. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if that's the bottom or not. But
we got over 9 inches.
We got 9 inches of sleet and snow. It was like started as sleet, then it was snow yesterday, and then last night came back as sleet, and then finished this morning as snow. So it's gonna be really cold this week.
It's like an onion. There's layers.
There's layers. It's gonna be very treacherous outside for a while, but
especially after they people drive and pack
when they
down
drive
snow.
it, pack it down, and just ice on the roads. Yeah, it's gonna be.
That's gonna be like tomorrow.
It's gonna be bad. But anyway.
Anyway, what movie are we talking about today?
Andrew, we are talking about a bona fide classic. That is The Blob. The 1958 original.
Nice.
Ooh, nice. We got in our little, I call it the den. It's the man cave, whatever you want to call it. It's when I bought the house, they had converted the garage into another room, like another family room. And we got LED lights up around the ceiling
and on the back of the TV
and behind the TV. So when we go to watch a movie, we turn the lights out and we turn on the LED lights. And this for tonight we used the purple color, I guess pink, purple, whatever it was. And we don't use that color very often on movies, but I thought it was very fitting. Be even more fitting when we get to the 80s version, I think.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, The Blob. You want to hear some alternate titles?
Hit me with them.
Well, there's actually, it was released as The Blob, obviously,
Yeah.
but there are a couple different stories about how the title came about. So one story is that this was originally titled The Molten Meteor, and then some of the producers overheard the screenwriter call the monster in it The Blob and decided that they thought that was a better title. But another story says that this was originally titled The Glob with a G, but they figured out that was the title of a children's book, which they thought was under copyright law. It actually wasn't, but they decided, okay, well, we can't use The Glob, so we're just going to change it to The Blob.
Which, worked out.
Either way, it works out. The Blob is a great title.
The molten meteor would have made sense because it came from a meteor.
Yeah, it was like a goo from a meteor. That was probably a title at one point. Maybe the glob thing was also a title at one point. Who knows what the actual story is that was, going on.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, 2028 will be the 70th anniversary of this movie. Is that right? A long time. Almost 70 years old now. But yeah. You want some production trivia?
Sure.
All right. Well, this is the first production of the producer, Jack Harris, who had a film distribution company in Philadelphia. He was reportedly inspired by this discovery of star jelly in Pennsylvania in 1950. Now, I didn't know what star jelly is. I had to click on the on the redirect link in Wikipedia. Apparently, it's like this jelly that has been found on like grass and moss and stuff, but people have never been able to figure out the actual origin of it.
Mm-hmm.
And one like theory was that it was like came from a meteorite or something. Probably unlikely that that's the actual
Yeah.
actual reason, but origin. But anyway, so this was the second feature film by the director or co-director, I should say, Irvin Yeaworth, who, along with the composer of this film, Ralph Carmichael, they came from the world of TV. Particularly, they worked on TV specials for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. So they came from the world of Billy Graham. Anyway, I think the co-director, whose name was, we'll talk about here in a little bit, Russell Doughton, he also came from a religious background. He made, I think, Christian movies before he came to this movie. But anyway, this was filmed in and around Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, in Valley Forge Studios, also some of the surrounding towns and stuff for different shots they needed in the summer of 1957. The Blob was made from silicone. And as the movie went on and he, consumed more and more people, they added more and more red vegetable dye to give him that kind of red, purplish, amethyst color. The diner scene was accomplished by, or I should say that, there are scenes with like where he's pulsing and whatever. Mm-hmm. And that effect was created by putting the silicone over a modified weather balloon and like inflating it and deflating it. The diner scene was accomplished. They got a photo of the building. It was put on top of a table, like a tilted, like gyroscopically operated table that they mounted the cameras on. And then they put the silicone, over the photo of the building, and then they shook it off. And then when they played the film in reverse, it created the effect of the blob oozing over the building.
Wow.
So there you go. Neat little effects for your information. Steve McQueen.
Or Stephen McQueen.
This was early in his career before he started going by Steve. He was credited as Stephen McQueen. Very official. He received $3,000 for this movie. He actually turned down an earlier offer for a smaller upfront fee that they would have in turn given him 10% of the back-end profits of the movie because he expected it to flop because most of these B movies didn't make any money, and apparently he needed money for rent and food. Mm-hmm. So he took the payment up front. As we'll talk about, that was in the end the bad choice for him because this movie actually did end up making money.
And he would have got a lot more money.
He would have ended up with a lot more. But hey, he got his rent and his food money, I guess.
Yeah.
I also saw that he like smoked profusely on like chain smoked on the movie. And there was a scene, and I actually saw it in the movie and thought it was a little weird, where like you see Steve McQueen, and he's like there's smoke behind him, and it's actually because like when they shot the scene, he just took a cigarette and was just like hiding it behind his back with his other hand for that shot. But, anyway, the title song "The Blob" actually became kind of a hit and got all the way up to number 33 on the Billboard Hot 100.
It was pretty catchy.
It was a catchy song. And the studio group that recorded it adopted the name The Five Blobs. So
they don't sound like they got anywhere though, really, after that.
Well, they were like a studio group. I think they just did, recorded songs for Paramount. But yeah, and there's actually there's only one vocalist on the song. And he just re-recorded his voice over himself several times. But and then in 2008, This film was nominated at the TV Land Awards for Best Movie to Watch at the Drive-In. So there you go. I also saw where one of the town, not Valley Forge, but one of the other towns that they've shot in Pennsylvania that they shot some of those scenes in. I think maybe where the diner was based.
Yeah.
They actually do like starting in 2000. They do like an annual Blob festival to celebrate this movie.
Oh God.
And they do like they recreate the scene. They do like a reenactment of the scene where everybody's like running down the street out of the theater. I think they have the actual like original, like the silicone never dried out. Somebody bought it and preserved it, and they put it like on display. They do like, they have like vendors and little stands. They do like a whole festival out of it. Maybe one year we'll have to go and experience
the Blob Fest
in Pennsylvania. That would be fun. But anyway, Andrew, you want to read about the box office here?
Well, sure. This movie, if you didn't know already, was released September 10th, 1958.
That's right.
With a budget of $110K.
Yeah.
The studio allotted the budget of $120K, but it actually came in under that figure.
A movie that came in under budget?
Wow, that's hard to come by.
What is that?
They usually over budget.
I know.
Paramount purchased the film for $300K and spent an additional $300K on marketing.
Yeah.
Released by Paramount at the B-side of a double feature with I Married a Monster from Outer Space.
I know, and this movie actually became the more popular of the
They
two.
did. Paramount back in the day spent a decent chunk just marketing it.
Yeah, they spent $600,000 on it in total.
That's that's a lot of money back in that day.
It was in 1958, yeah.
And, Harris would eventually buy the rights back from Paramount, and Allied Artists Pictures Corporation would re-release the film at a double feature with Dinosaurs in 1964. Total box office of $4 million.
Yeah, so that made $4 million. So if Steve McQueen would have taken the 10%, he would have gotten 10% of $4 million. What is it?
A few $100,000.
$40,000. So, a lot more than this $3,000 fee.
But $3,000 is $3,000.
Yep, $3,000 is $3,000.
He needed it then.
All right, well, let's listen to the trailer, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about the cast and crew, and then we'll talk all about the Blob. See you in a bit.
Dave! Doc Hallen's been killed.
Doc Hallen, what happened?
It's over at his place. You gotta come now.
Now, wait a minute, Steve. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm trying to tell you. Now, this thing had killed the doc.
Well, what was it?
Stop with it, kid. But it's kind of like a mass that keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Every one of you watching this screen, look out. Because soon, very soon, the most horrifying monster menace ever conceived will be oozing into this theater. Two teenagers see it first, like a falling star from outer space.
Boy, that was close. Hey, come on. I want to see if I can find it.
An old man finds it, touches it, and this is the shocking result. From then on, there's no stopping the Blob as it spreads from town to town. It's indestructible. It's indescribable. Nothing can stop it.
This town is in danger.
How can it be stopped? Mob hysteria sweeps one city. Before long, the nation, and then the world could fall before the blood-curdling threat of the Blob.
Starring Steve McQueen and a cast of exciting young people.
A cast of exciting young people.
Steve McQueen and exciting
others.
young people.
Yeah, Steve McQueen at the time was relatively unknown. So, anyway, plot summary. You ready? After a meteorite crashes to Earth, a gelatinous alien life form inside attaches itself to an elderly local man. Teenage couple Steve Andrews and Jane Martin discover the old man and, noticing his arm covered in a strange substance, take him to the local doctor. The doctor sends Steve out to see if anyone witnessed the incident. While Steve and Jane are gone, the creature, soon dubbed the Blob, absorbs the elderly man, the doctor, and the doctor's nurse. Steve returns just in time to see the doctor struggling in a window and rushes to the police. When officers investigate, they find no bodies and dismiss the destruction as vandalism. As the night wears on, the Blob continues to grow, consuming more townspeople, including a mechanic at a repair shop. Steve and Jane try to warn the town with the help of other teens, but no adults take them seriously. Later, the couple is attacked by the Blob inside a grocery store. They narrowly survive by hiding in the freezer before escaping. Desperate, Steve and the others trigger the town's air raid and fire alarms, drawing residents to the city center. Though most of them remain skeptical, the police chief agrees to investigate the grocery store, only to find it empty. Soon after, the Blob infiltrates a local movie theater, killing the projectionist before spilling into the auditorium. The panicked crowd flees into the streets, and the police finally witness the creature firsthand. Steve and Jane head to a nearby diner, where Jane's younger brother is hiding. Along with the diner's owner and a waitress, they become trapped when the Blob engulfs the building. Police attempt to stop the monster with electricity, but it has no effect and instead sets the diner ablaze. Trapped in the basement, Steve discovers that a fire extinguisher weakens the creature. Alerting those outside, the townspeople gather every CO2 extinguisher they can find and use them to freeze the Blob. In the final scene, the military airdrops a crate containing the frozen creature into the Arctic, leaving its ultimate fate ominously uncertain as the credits roll. Ooh. Yeah, so Andrew, you've seen this movie before, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen the Blob before.
Yeah, I've seen the Blob. I revisited this version of the Blob not too awful long ago, so I've seen it a few times. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited that we're covering it for the podcast, and maybe not quite a kaiju movie, but we've covered.
It's big enough.
It's big enough. We've covered other similar, like weird, like the monolith monsters and weird stuff like that. So
maybe we'll go to the stuff next.
The
parody.
I don't have the stuff on the schedule, but that is kind of the satire parody version of this movie, made by the same guy that made the Coen guy or whatever that made Q the Winged Serpent that we watched. But anyway, as far as this movie goes, so it opens with your classic kind of 50s B movie, opening like you would see in War of the Worlds or whatever. There's a meteorite crashing to Earth, and some old guy goes up and pokes it with a stick, and it cracks open, and then the goo comes out. And
it gets on he pokes the goo with his stick first.
It gets on his stick, and then it goes down to his hand, and then
it jumps on his hand.
It jumps on his hand. Jump cuts, because that's how they get it to move. and
then he starts screaming like bloody murder.
Yeah, because it's like dissolving. I mean, that would be painful. It's like getting acid on your hand. It would probably not feel good.
No,
but and then we cut and we meet Steve McQueen and his girlfriend Jane. I will say Steve McQueen is playing a guy named Steve. Maybe.
Well, no. We see Steve McQueen in them first.
Before the meteorite? Yeah, you're right, because they're kissing first, and then
they're in the car
talking about shooting stars.
And then the star lands, and he's like, I'm going to go find where that student star gun went.
I love that. First of all, his character's name is Steve, because I figure Steve McQueen was like, I can't remember another name. I can't be bothered to memorize another name, so my character's name is going to be
He's too busy chain smoking.
Steve. But anyway, he's playing a teenager. I mean, he clearly, he's almost 30. I think he was 27 when they filmed this.
He's almost 30.
But people back then looked, obviously he was a chain smoker. He looked older than that. So it's a little funny that he's playing a teenager, and it's clearly not a teenager, but it is what it is. But so him and this, I get the impression that they haven't known each other for very long, even though later she'll say that she knows Steve and he wouldn't lie because he calls her Janie, and she's like, my name is not Janie, it's Jane. But anyway,
Maybe she just doesn't like the nicknames he gives him.
I mean, I figured that was, yeah. But anyway, they go and look around. They can't find the meteorite, and then they almost hit the old man because he's running out in the road, and
he's screaming.
He's screaming and hollering, and they put him in the car, and they take him to Doc Holleran.
Doc Holleran. Mm-hmm.
And on the way, they sped past some other teenagers, which will kind of sort of be important later. But and they get to the doc's place, and the poor doctor is getting ready to close up for the night. And then they roll up, and he's like, damn it, I guess I'll bring him in. And they take him in, and now the thing is like all up on his arm and gotten bigger. And, he's like, he tells Steve, like, you need to go and see if you can find someone who witnessed it or whatever. And, he'll take care of it. He calls his nurse back to the office. And then, we get introduced to the other teens in the movie because they come back and, it doesn't play like I thought it would. I thought these people were going to be like bullies. Like if you were watching it for the first time or haven't seen it in a while, you feel like they're going to be like your classic 50s, like greasers, like bullies. And they do like challenge him to a race because they are offended that he sped past them or something.
Yeah.
And they took one of his hubcaps off. So they race backwards to the stoplight, and then they get in trouble by the chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
But the chief lets him go. But then they meet up afterwards, and like they're actually friends.
Yeah.
And he's like,
they're just messing with him.
and they're like, hey, we're going to go to the spook picture at midnight.
Yeah.
And Steve's like, well, why don't you come up with me on the mountain, and we're going to look for this.
With that, I had to go. The doc gave me a job to do.
Yeah. And they go looking, and they find where the meteorite crashed, and they go to the guy's house and find his dog left there. And
that dog had quite an adventure.
The dog has quite the adventure in this movie, and Jane's like, we can't leave it here; it'll starve. And
Which she isn't wrong.
I guess she's not wrong.
The old man's not gonna come back.
Yeah, but they go back, and meanwhile, the doctor and the nurse, like, they were gonna go, and he's like, I gotta amputate his arm. And the nurse goes in there, and she's like, he's gone.
And what man?
What guy? He's gone. And then she turns and she screams, and instead of like backing out of the door, she like corners herself in the corner, and it's like, doctor, help me. And he's like, don't move. Well, first he tells her to grab some acid and throw it on it, and that doesn't work. It changes, like, gets a yellow color for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They mix some yellow dye in, and then he's like, stay right there. I'm going to get a gun. Like, that's going to do any good against a jello mass. But,
you
never know, I guess. And, of course, he comes back, and it does not work. No. And it eats him, and it
eats her first.
Well, yeah, she knocks over the light and blows the fuse, and it eats her, and then it eats him. But actually, Steve pulls up just as it's eating the doctor, and he's like pulling the blinds down. And
it must have, because the door is locked, so it must have, slowly came from beneath the door.
I love that. Instead of like, going into the office and like helping the doctor, Steve just goes to Jane. And he's like, I can't believe what I just saw. And
well, the doctor disappeared before his eyes. The doctor disappeared before his eyes.
Well, yeah, but I would have busted in and like seen what was going on. He seemed in distress. But he's like, let's go to the police. And they go to the police, and of course there's the chief guy. I guess he's the chief. I think they call him lieutenant, but he seems more like the chief.
He's the lieutenant. He's lieutenant.
And he's like the nicer guy, and he's more willing to believe the kids.
No, wait, who? Which one?
The chief.
Yeah.
And then there's this other guy who is like apparently like a war veteran, and he's like a hard ass and hates kids.
Yeah.
And he doesn't believe him, but they go and check out the doc's place.
Well, there was that thing where a kid hit his wife on the intersection or something, the chief said.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
That's why I hate kids.
They go and check out the doctor's office, and there's no bodies. They get the lights on, but, it just looks like somebody broke in and knocked some stuff around, and
Mm-hmm.
the one guy blames it on the kids, like
Yeah.
pulling a prank. But anyway, so they go back to the police station. They call Steve and Jane's parents, and they come and get them, and send them home. And the one guy's upset that the chief didn't lock him up, and
It's like the chief's always like, why make a big fuss of it tonight when we can easily, solve it in the morning?
yeah. And I'm with the chief. Let's just go home and go to bed. But I will say this, as we get into the second act of this movie, there is a bad lack of the Blob.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a long stretch of this movie that there's very little of the Blob. And I know that it was probably mostly for budgetary reasons. I mean, they spent $110,000 on this thing, which even in the 50s was still a pretty low B movie picture budget. So it does drag. It does definitely drag in the second act as we get a whole lot of the police arguing with each other and arguing with the kids, and then Steve and Jane, like sneaking out and running around and gathering up their friends and telling their friends, even though the friends, like, I didn't like, they're like, we got to go warn the town, and the other kids, like, they pull them out of the theater, and it's a big thing. And they, like, without ever seeing the Blob, they're like, yeah, we'll drive around and tell random adults, like, be careful that there's a Blob about.
They believe their friend. They believe Steve.
They believe Steve.
Because Steve does not lie.
Because he's Steve McQueen. And
Like Steve's dad said before, he's not prone to lying.
Yeah.
He doesn't lie.
and so there's like a scene where one of the teenagers goes, a couple of them go to like a party that some people are having, and they just laugh
It's
him
like an
out.
adult party or something.
Like a costume party or something, and they laugh him out of the building, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it does drag in the middle. I will not deny that. And all these kids are older than teenagers.
Yeah.
Painfully, obviously so. But anyway, so eventually we do have a scene where we don't see it. There's too many off-screen deaths too. We see the Blob like rolling into this repair shop, and we see a guy like, under a car working on it. And
he gets eaten.
We assume that he gets eaten. And then eventually Steve and Jane go to his dad's grocery store, and it's unlocked, and they are attacked by the Blob.
Yeah.
And they go and hide in the she still got the dog, or she still got the dog. Right at this point. Or she found the dog in the grocery store.
They found the dog at the entrance of the grocery store.
Right. And she thinks it eats the dog, but the dog will come back again later.
No, yeah, the friends come out like, oh, we saw that dog running down the street, scared stiff.
But they hide in the freezer, and the Blob tries to get under the door, but then retreats, and then they make a run for it. And then, they're like, we got to warn everybody. And the cops won't pay attention. They try calling the police station again, but the one guy answers, Earl or whatever his name is.
The lieutenant.
And is, mean to them. And
because he doesn't believe anything these teenagers said.
So they go to the center of town and set off the fire alarm. Somehow they got access to the air raid, because it was the Cold War, so every town had air raid sirens.
Yeah.
And they somehow got access to the air raid sirens and set them off.
Then did this whole scene with this old man like, oh goodness, it's the air raid.
Yeah, and he's like, first he puts on his like military hard hat, and then he's like, oh, the fire alarm. And then he grabs his fireman hat. He's like, what do I wear?
This has never happened before.
And, so there's a little bit of tongue in cheek about the movie. It's not super serious. I did think you made a funny comment. We've been watching we just watched the Silent Hill movies, the first two. Our local theater didn't get the new one, but that's neither here nor there. But you were like, oh no, the darkness is coming.
The sirens go on. Like, oh god, there's darkness.
But anyway, so they get all the people to the center of town, and Steve's like, listen, you're all in danger. And
they're like, if we're in danger, where's the police at?
And then the police roll up, and of course the one guy is really upset.
Yeah.
But the chief is like, for whatever reason, he's like, I believe these kids. So they go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there. But we've been cutting back and forth to the theater where they're showing a midnight spook movie. 80 cents a ticket.
Yeah.
And then one of the kids, when they went and pulled his friends out of the movie, they're like, "Well, that was a waste of 80 cents or whatever." And I was like, "If only they knew."
Mm.
But anyway, and the payphone was a dime. So there you go.
Yeah. Was it 80 cents for one ticket or all their tickets?
I think for one ticket. But because he says my 80 cents.
No, he said you made us restart 80 cents.
I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we see the blob. This is where we finally get the blob like in full form back. And we see it like get in through like a vent, like a ventilation thing. And it eats the projectionist. And then the camera goes off and all the people are looking around like, what the heck? And then it like oozes out of like the
small little
projection window and comes into the auditorium and everybody goes running, and then the police, see all these people come screaming out of the theater, and classic scene. That's probably the most, I would say probably the most famous scene from this movie.
Probably
is the blob oozing out into the auditorium.
Another one is when it's oozing out the theater entrance.
Yeah, and then it comes out of the theater entrance, and the cop comes out, and he's like, the chief, he's like, my God, it's the most horrible thing I've ever seen.
Must be 40, 50 people dead.
Wish we'd have saw some of that. But again, budget. But then, so then Jane's little brother goes and like hides in a diner.
Well, she has told him previously, you need to protect the you need to protect the parents and whatever.
He goes out and shoots it with like his little
toy gun.
And then he runs into this diner.
Yeah.
And then so Jane and Steve run into the diner, and the owner and the waitress are there. And of course the blob swallows the diner.
Yeah.
And it's oozing in, and then the cops are like, the last thing we can try, we can electrocute it. So,
everybody get in the basement.
The lieutenant or whatever, the mean one, he's of course, apparently was like a sharpshooter in the military. So he shoots the power cable, and it swings down and falls on the blob and electrocutes it. But of course, no effect. And the only thing it manages to do is set the diner on fire.
Yeah.
And so
it's like, then the lieutenant's like, there's not enough oxygen in that place to keep it going for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So Steve and they told Steve and the others on the phone to get down in the basement when they were going to electrocute it. So they're down in the basement. They're burning up. The blobs covered the windows. So the owner gets a fire extinguisher, a CO2 fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
And Steve realizes that it has an adverse effect on the blob, so they scare it off the windows and get out, and they yell over the phone, get all the CO2 extinguishers you can. It doesn't like the cold. So the fire department guy is like, we've only got like 3 or 4 of those kind back at the station. And then the principal comes, I think it's Jane's dad.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know where we can get 20 of them. And the kids are like, we'll go with you to get them. And so he breaks into his own high school, and they all come running back with fire extinguishers, and they freeze the blob with fire extinguishers.
Well, they freeze the blob and with the extinguishers to get the kids out of the diner first.
Yeah, they get it off the diner, and then they freeze the blob, and they're like, well, he's like, the only thing we can do is have the military dump it in the Arctic. Well, hopefully it'll never thaw out. And then the other guy's like, well, hopefully the Arctic stays frozen.
Yeah.
And then we get a final shot of the military literally dumping it.
And then there's the question mark at the end.
Question mark? Yeah. So, I don't know if that was I was trying to figure out, like, what's this movie a metaphor for? And there's that little comment about the Arctic staying frozen. I was like, is it some kind of metaphor for climate change? Seems a little early in the 50s to be worried about climate change. I did read where one guy that studied the movie said it was, like almost every movie at this time was some kind of metaphor for the Cold War. And the blob was like a metaphor for communism creeping over the globe.
Yeah.
And, it has to be, frozen back or whatever. I don't think the movie has a strong metaphor, Not like maybe like, you know, the thing from another planet where the thing was clearly a metaphor for Soviet spies
Yeah.
or whatever. But anyway,
Anyway,
that's the movie. It is a nice, crisp 82 minutes.
Not bad.
So nice and short, like you want your B features. Like I said, the middle does drag. The acting's not great. Steve McQueen is, and all the rest of the cast are clearly older than what they're playing. But I think it's endured for a reason. I think it's I love the creature. I think it's a simple design, but yet effective.
Yeah.
You know, I think some of the idea of it just like absorbing you and everything is, you know, pretty fun.
Pretty neat.
You know, it's kind of in the same vein, not quite of, you know, like thing from another planet that would, you know, take another form or whatever, or the body snatchers that, you know, was again clearly a metaphor for Soviets. But, you know, instead of like taking the form of something, it just absorbs something and dissolves it. But it's a neat little twist on that kind of concept, and yeah, I love it. I enjoy the movie.
Anyway,
creature design.
Ooh.
Well, I do. It's very simple. It's just a gelatinous mass.
Yeah, that's purpley pink.
A purple, like amethyst colored gelatinous mass made of silicone. And you know, as it gets bigger, it gets pinker and grows, and it kind of pulsates. And you know, when like she throws acid on it, it gets kind of like that yellow color.
But it doesn't do anything to it.
Yeah, and it doesn't, but it just absorbs it. And yes, but I love the simplicity of it. I think it's great, you know, for a low budget B feature like this.
Goes around.
It just goes around and
dissolves people. And
I think the simplicity of it is the beauty of it. And then effects. Listen, there are some dated effects. You know, the way they do a lot of it. They speed up the frame rate, or they jump frames, you know, to get the blob to move faster, cut frames to get the blob to move faster. You know, you can tell a lot of the times they're playing film backwards to get the blob to do what they want it to do, get the effect that they want.
But I think all in all, it looked all right. You know,
and there's a lot of off-screen deaths to save on the budget, and a lot of screen time without the blob again to save on the budget. A lot of miniatures, like with it oozing through the theater auditorium, and of course like the diner with like the gyroscopic photo effect, which I thought looked pretty good.
They did what they could with what they had.
There's a couple of matte, like particularly after they freeze it and you get the shot of it frozen on top of the diner as a matte painting.
Yeah.
And then the electricity effect, of course. But I think it holds up pretty well. Of course, the color is very impressive. We got the I got the Criterion edition. Super nice picture, and the color really pops, especially the blues. Those blue Steve McQueen eyes.
Oh yeah,
pop off the picture. She's got like a blue like hair bonnet thing that really pop. Like the blues for some reason really pop in it. But, it wasn't done by Technicolor. It was done by Deluxe. But I thought the color was really well. You know, 1958, not a whole lot of B features were in color at that time. But
no,
I thought the colors really popped. But yeah, I think the effects they hold up, you know, for what it is. I mean, it's basic, but I think they hold up pretty well.
And somehow they came in below budget.
Yeah, they still came in under budget. So there you go. Hollywood can learn a thing or two. Yeah, so I love that. And then score. You know, most of the score is your pretty basic 50s B movie kind of thing. I do love though the Blob song that plays over the opening credits
and the ending credits.
I don't even remember, like it eeks, it creaks,
it slides around the floor and more.
Beware of the blob. I did see the composer he wrote like a more like ominous, obviously orchestral theme for the opening credits, and I think it's on the soundtrack. But at the last moment, the director was like, or the producer one was like, actually, I like this song. And it was a good choice. But yeah, so final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
Why don't you go for it?
All right, you know, like we've said, this movie is pretty good. We understand why it, you know, lasted the test of time.
Yeah.
Like, unlike some movies.
Yeah, unlike a lot of movies we've watched for this podcast.
Unlike a lot of 50B movies that did not.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fun 80-minute movie, you know, simple, not hard to understand plot.
Yeah.
It's just a blob that dissolves people.
Yeah.
And how much simpler could you get than that?
Not much.
And, Steve McQueen, he's Steve McQueen. He's a decent actor in this. It's early in his popular career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before he became Steve McQueen,
Before it became the Steve McQueen.
he was Stephen McQueen.
He was still Stephen McQueen. Even though the trailer credited him as Steve McQueen. But yeah, on the credits, he was still Stephen McQueen.
Yeah. That might have been a newer trailer also.
And that might have been for like the 1964 re-release. Yeah.
When he was Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
And the movie, like we said, the effects are a little dated. You can tell that from just watching it. But,
Yeah.
they did the best with what they had in that time.
Yeah.
And they did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah.
They did their best. And the blob looked cool.
Yeah.
He's just a blob.
He's a blob.
He's just there. Just slowly moving across town.
Yeah.
And, I think the score, the music for this is great.
Yeah.
Especially the intro, outro thing.
Yeah. The song is great. Yeah.
The song's great. And, the other music in it, the little bit they have, it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
It gets you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So I'll give this movie, it a B.
A B? Yeah, listen, I enjoy this. I still love this movie. I mean, yeah, it shows it shows its seams in places. Yes, you definitely wish there was more screen time for the titular creature. It definitely is slow in that second act, and the characters of the movie are not that interesting. Steve McQueen is, he's got screen presence, even if, he's playing a lot older than or a lot younger than what he is. And some of his dialogue is a little cringy, but he's still got some screen presence because he's Steve McQueen. I think the colors pop. I think the Criterion edition looks really good, which I always appreciate. I think the effects, yes, they're basic, but I think they actually hold up pretty well, a lot better than a lot of 50s B movies that we see, like some, puppet or guy in a suit or, stuff like that they try to do. I love the originality of the Blob. It's so simple yet
So fascinating.
So fascinating. But
it's just a blob.
It's just a blob, a space blob.
A space blob.
And I love that. And it's short, doesn't overstay its welcome by any stretch. And I it's one of my favorite 50s era B movies. And I'll give it like a B plus.
Ooh.
I really, I think it, it's good. But we will be seeing, of course, next week we got to do the little more obscure. I've never seen it. It's an early 70s pseudo sequel, or I guess it's a direct sequel, but I've read a little bit about more like a comedy called Beware of the Blob, also released as Son of the Blob. And then the 80s remake, which I also really like the 80s remake. I think it's probably maybe the most famous Blob movie. It's a big budget remake, but I haven't revisited it in a while, so I'm excited to revisit the 80s remake when we get there. But before we do all that, I don't really have any news, like I said, because we're recording this the day after we recorded the other.
So we already said the news.
So whatever news I did, again, schedule update next week. Like I said, we'll be doing Beware the Blob. And
Beware of the Blob.
Beware of the Blob. Yeah, I think just took the title from the song. And then we'll be doing the 80s version of the Blob. And then to wrap out the month of February, we will be doing The Giant Behemoth, another 50s B movie classic. Classic? Question mark? It's one I've heard about, at least. And what else we got, Andrew? Anything other than that?
Not that I can think of.
I did
honestly.
want to briefly remind you that we've got another podcast going, Pulse Check, a horror movie podcast. And I think our episode after this episode airs, we've got our first official episode up over Sam Raimi's Send Help. And then this next episode will be over the classic Misery. So check that out. But other than that, don't forget that you can always contact us at stomthisway1954@gmail.com.
You can find our website at www.stomthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. And you can also find us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and X. So anyway, again, next week, beware the Blob. You can find it on Tubi. I checked. And as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.